No. This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages, right here on hashtag WeAreMovieClub. It's time for Scary Movie Squad. Salutations, I am Cameron, I am conversation ready. Let's pump the brakes. Let's start the day good. Salutations, I am Cameron, I am conversation ready. There we go, that's how we do this here. Standards, people, standards. It's important to have standards most of the time. Sometimes we don't have standards for movies. But this is kind of the nail in the coffin, if you will. Alien Covenant. It's the last movie in the franchise so far that we have to cover. There is going to be a new movie called The Predator that we're going to see later on, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if, God damn it, cat. Stop that. I don't know if that's going to really arouse my interest at the time, because the backlogs are looking pretty stacked now that I got organized. Because but the open one is Scary Movie Squad, so it's possible, it's doable. There's room in the budget, in the schedule, if you will. Why must you lay on everything? That's the keyboard. You don't want that in your butt. God damn it! It's like you don't want this show to happen. Totally was ignoring me up until the point where I started screaming at the microphone, and then he's like, "What you doing? What you doing? Can I shed all over you? Let's do it." Little jerk. Anyways, so we are talking about Alien. It's like he's gonna I'll put my butt on the other side if I can't have it on your keyboard. So this is the sequel to Prometheus. It's not exactly the prequel to Alien, but it is pre-Alien. And we actually get to see an exciting thing in this, but I'm going to save that for when it happens as we continue through the movie. For whatever reason, and I hate movies that do this typically, we decided to open up on an eye. And it's a dude training an android to be human. It's the same Michael Fassbender, or whatever his name is, same android look from the first movie. Of course, that bodes really well because that android was crazy. So you can go ahead and assume this android's crazy, at least at this point in time in the movie. And we're having like lots of philosophical discussions here in the beginning. Yeah, discussions. Particularly that if the human made him, who made the human? And that, David, is one of the things I want you to find out. So then we reopen on a ship in space. It's deploying solar sails, which if you don't know what a solar sail is, imagine a ship. The ship deploys cloth sails. The wind pushes the sails, which pulls the boat behind them. It doesn't actually push the boat. It pushes the sails, which pulls the boat. So the similar aspect is that solar beams, particles of light, hit the sails, and the sail should pull the boat along, or the ship along. Now, for whatever reason, the sail's behind the ship, so technically it's hitting the sail, pushing the sail, and then the sail is actually pushing the ship. It's a little weird to me, but it is space, not lower atmos. So maybe the rules are different, but it seems like the tension would be different, especially without any atmosphere to help cushion anything. It just feels like it might snap. I don't know. I'm not a rocket scientist. That I can say with certainty. So there is that. But there's some anomalies. She checks with the android. The android doesn't tell him to retract the shield, retract the solar sails until it's too late. There's emergency crew revival because, oh, now there's things to deal with on the ship. And then some of them die in their pods, particularly the captain. And when the captain on a ship dies, it's not fun. And my immediate thought was, why don't they have like some kind of super space tool to get these people out of these pods quick, fast, and in a hurry? Now, granted, they're pressurized pods. You probably don't want to do that. I don't know why you would run any pipes or anything inside the pod itself. But again, not a space engineer. So apparently some kind of fire started in his pod. They couldn't get it open. And they had these like jaws of life things. And they're like that for like 5 minutes, it feels like. While he burns to death in his little cube. Or his stasis pod, whatever you want to call it. So that's a big mess. All the crew's upset. Apparently, I think there were other people that died too, so not just the captain, but the crew wants to acknowledge the dead, particularly the captain. The second in command who's taken over, who for some reason it's the Christian that doesn't want to take time and do ritualistic stuff for the dead who can't appreciate it. Now, granted, funerals are not for the dead, they're for the living that have to deal with their own mortality. But he's the one that's like, no, we got to do this and be heartless and go on. Otherwise, we might all die because you guys didn't step up and to get things fixed. And for that situation, they seem to be not doing stuff a lot. I'm just saying, they're standing around, they're talking. They should be rushing to save their lives, not planning this weird, useless mutiny. So, whatever. In the hangar bay, the widow of the captain is working on some car. I think the android goes down and messes with her. In the hallway, they're like drinking. They're toasting the dead. No. Get the thing fixed so like the ship doesn't explode. Start there. But then they airlock the former captain's body, which I guess is what you do in space. I think it's a waste of materials to wrap a body up. Strip him naked. If you're not going to recycle him, go ahead and put him out the airlock. It's a little cruel, but if you look at what it takes to survive in space, there is no refueling. There almost is no refueling at all. There is no extra food. There's no extra air in case the scrubbers stop working. And the chance of hitting like a planet with life is astronomical. Which is why when they do that, it's insanity. It's pure insanity, and they get all excited and they go down to the planet. Now, I may have skipped something. Did I? Oh, yeah. So there's a whole point where, like, two of them go out without tethers, but they have mag boots to restring the sail. So it's taunt. So it definitely does have to be taunt for the solar sails to work. And they managed to get a transmission while the guy's out there. It comes over his headset. It almost looks like it's a bug in his headset, like it's not working. So they relay it back to... Or, I'm sorry, he brings the helmet back and they replay it. And it's some kind of, like, distress signal. So, of course, they're like, it's a human voice on a planet that looks livable. We have to go down and check it out. I'm not saying you don't, but... Fuck... Careful to the 9, you know? So, oh yeah, coming into orbit, not into orbit, but coming from orbit to Atmo, they have a real rough ride of it. Like, the planet's pretty well shielded with, like, cloud and thick Atmo. It's probably why the signal can't get through, is because there's some kind of density there where the signal fades. And... surprisingly, someone brought this up in the chat because we do watch this at Rabbit/Camera. Surprisingly, no real like burning. Now they did come in at like a really gradual angle, which is part of the reason why the turbulence was so bad, because they took the longest route possible through it. But when they hit planet side, then they arm up and go out without helmets. They don't have helmets, but they brought guns. So I have no idea what the hell they thought was going on. Then there's wheat out there, and the guy like starts picking apart the wheat like he's about to eat it. He's like, oh, "I love wheat thins." No, he doesn't actually eat it, but still, it seems like just a ridiculous action to take. It's like, what are you gonna do with that? Just leave it there. You get it on the way back. And they have GoPros, and like not only do they have GoPros, but they have like these weird mechanical arms that like sit out over their thing, like a third-person follow in a video game. It's like, instead of being first person here, they're like back here watching me, like my hand's a camera, like, what are you doing? It's the back of your head, and there's your enemies. I'm going to point my cursor over there, and that's where you're going to shoot. But we never see any footage from the GoPros. It's not even clear that they're on, how they're being powered. Maybe it's in the little arm. So who knows? But weird product placement, because why would we still have GoPros in the future? We saw last movie that they have floating orb technology. Have a floating orb pro. GoPro 196. Where it's a floating orb where the whole thing is a lens. You don't even need like it to rotate it all. Give me future tech in my future movie. That's all I'm asking. It's not a unrealistic demand, I would think. But someone's got to pay for the movie, I guess. I don't know. Oh, right hand meet left hand. So and then two of them break off as they're they're going to a very specific site to where they think the distress signal is. It's a biologist and one soldier hang out, and she starts taking cultures of the planet because before they take their helmets off, they're supposed to gather enough intelligence on the planet to understand what's going on, why the things are doing what it is, and what they're actually doing. And if they had their helmets on, that would have saved them a hell of a lot of trouble, because sure enough, while she's doing that, the idiot guy goes, "I'm going to go take a pee," and then he walks off, and not only does he not even pee, which he could have done right next to her, and as long as it wasn't in her chemistry set, she probably wouldn't have cared. But he goes and he fucks around in the woods, and then he smokes, which don't bring cigarettes on the fucking spaceship. It's not good. It's not a good idea. The unregulated smoke, not good for anything. The fire that you're carrying around, not good for anything. He could have set the whole planet ablaze. We don't know. We don't know if there's a certain amount of methane in the air. We don't know if there's plants that absorb or that export methane. Expunge? Output methane. There you go. But we do find a plant or fungus or whatever that does expel the black goo from the first movie. It's airborne now, so that's a plus. And it ends up like going into his ear or something, and then starts binding with him. So he's gonna be dead within like 7 to 8 hours. I think it's actually like 3 to 4 in movie time. So meanwhile, everyone else back at the cave surprisingly do the exact same thing. They start sciencing, they gather some data, they find Shaw's dog tags, they find pieces of the alien ship, or they find the station, which we know is actually an alien ship that's buried. Oh yeah, we find a picture of her and a hollow image of her at the controls of the station, and she's like whistling because she's trying to activate the control panel a certain way, because that's how you do that, apparently. Because when the Prometheans designed their ships, they made it so you have to whistle. He hasn't passed pilot training yet. Of course, the soldier with them gets sick because lazy bastard. So they start dragging him back to the ship. Meanwhile, the biologist has finally got her infected guy back to the ship. The pilot there starts freaking out because they're like, "Oh, we got a problem here, blah, blah, blah." And the med bay is way deep in the bowels of the ship. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. And it's not even like it's the main ship. This is a landing, like a transport. A transport that you use to go from the main ship to the ground where you would have problems. The med bay needs to be like right off the cargo bay. I can think of another ship that did that. Oh yeah, the Serenity. I bumped my mic or my camera there. That's all right. Long live Firefly. So of course the biologist finally gets her patient back to the med bay. She's trying to get him sorted. I don't know how, because like they're not even in there long enough to take vitals. And then his shirt starts coming off, and the pilot sees like spikes coming out of his back, like through his spine even. And then she goes and runs out the room, locking them inside. So for some reason they have quarantine procedures built into the door on the med bay. But we had 2 people get sick, and the pilot lets the dude on. I never would have allowed that. I would have been like, nope, he stays out here. Go get what you need from the med bay. I'll torch him if he goes wrong. So yeah, and I just, again, I have lots of problems with this ship layout, but it's not really around long enough to go into it, so we won't. So the pilot locks the 2 in there. She radios the other team like, hey, we've got a problem here. There's something wrong with dude. She makes that face a lot, and I don't know what it means. I don't know if she's sad, she's hungry. I just don't know. I don't know. So she goes and grabs a weapon, which is probably the smartest thing she does in this entire series of events. The xenomorph, or the neomorph, whatever you want to call it, finally bursts out of him, and it comes out of his back too. So there's no way, like, he's alive or feeling good at all. Where it's like, maybe like there was a way, like it could have burrowed out the stomach maybe, and it would have, and the host may have lived once upon a time. No way with this. So, and the biologist really doesn't fight. Like, she gets ready to, because she's scared out of her mind, and she slips the blood that's all over the floor, which makes it seem like I'm talking about a friggin' cartoon. It's like she slips on the banana peel and does a loop-de-loop and crashes down. The pilot comes back in with the shotgun by the time the little alien thing has pretty much killed the doctor, because the doctor didn't do anything. Like, didn't really fight at all. Now, granted, the CG on the creature is pretty good, but the interaction between the human and the creature, not so good. Because I think that's what it was, is that they were like, just do this and it'll be fine. And they CG'd it, and they didn't CG around the real movements. So, sure enough, the pilot comes in with a shotgun, slips in the blood. Oh, God. And she starts shooting at the thing, missing. She finally runs out of the bay, and she breaks her ankle in the door. Like, Harrison Ford's it. The door closes on her ankle. She pulls it out and finally seals him back in again. But this time, the alien decides to headbutt its way through the glass, because it's a space door, and that should be able to happen. Ugh. It's just awful. A lot of this isn't so great. But the pilot, it manages to buy enough time for the pilot to get back towards the door of the ship, hide behind some rigging, which actually was kind of smart, because the alien jumps on her, and then like the rigging gets in the way, and she manages to shoot it, but she's just horrible, so like it's not a kill shot at all. So as it's running around the ship trying to escape, she's just firing at everything, not paying attention to what she's hitting. And of course she hits like the life support, which blows the O2 line, and O2 is flammable. O2 is oxygen. We breathe it. We burst it. So guess what happens when the O2 line goes? Anyone? Anyone? You and the ginger. Keep looking yourself. It blows the entire transport ship. The whole thing goes up right as the other guys come over the ridge and are like, finally the ship. It's really funny timing and all. And then the other guy has such a seizure that like a thing crawls out of his mouth. As everyone just stares at it, especially the android. and watches it like hatch and run off, and then they have a dead body with them. I'm really mad that the android didn't attempt to grab it, at least, because even if he didn't kill it right away, he could have snatched it and been like, well, look at this. And then they could have told him to kill it, and then he would have. But I think the androids are built with a natural curiosity that is unrivaled by humans. Like, they're just sociopathic and want to see what's going to happen. It's like, oh, look, the world is burning. I wonder. Oh, this will disturb lots of people. I should get a pail of water. So, oh my God. Where are we at here? I skipped a couple little things. Gauge it. The flare. Oh yeah. So like a flare finally goes off and it scares off the alien, the xenomorph, the neomorph, whatever you want to call it. But it's like bright, hot, white light. So it may be phosphorus. It may not. But the point is that it's basically daytime out for a little bit. And someone like rolls in to save them. It turns out there was the old android from Prometheus, the one that went crazy. Maybe it was always crazy, but the one that started acting crazy all of a sudden. Let's see. So, I don't know. This is so weird between old android and new android, especially since they're the same actor. But it's kind of key to the plot, so you gotta roll with it. They give him a bunch of information he does not need. And being what he did to the Prometheus crew, I'm a little worried at this point. I'm just saying. And of course, the first thing the old android does when he gets a chance is to fix his hair so he looks like the new android. Don't ask me why his hair grew. Maybe he just put product in it finally, just like that, and he's done. And then he teaches the new android to play music. He's like slowly pushing at his boundaries. You can tell, like he's like, how do we make this monkey dance? And it's this whole thing about just like kind of trying to feel if they are the same or not, or what's changed since he was a model versus the new guy. So they talk about versioning, and then the new one actually mentions that the old one was canceled for being too human, which, if you understand the underlying metaphors of the Alien franchise, that is a very bad thing. The humans do not make great choices, especially when they are associated with the Wayland Industries. Let's see. So, and then we get this nice little flashback about like the how the black goo bioweapon thing destroyed the planet. And as far as I can tell, the planet used to be a Promethean homeworld, and terrorists destroyed it. From the imagery that we're given, no real exposition, other than everyone died. That seems to be what it was, and it's actually a strong enough point, a good enough point, and it makes sense for everything that the engineers that made us and want to kill us, wanted to take out themselves too, because who knows what their problem was, but I mean, like, they kill the world, man. Let's see. Oh, yeah, so we see Shaw's grave, which was an odd thing, but if it was just going to be him and Shaw, who knows? But that also kind of makes me wonder where all the corpses came from, unless those were really Promethean corpses that had petrified and stayed the entire time, which is a weird thing, I'm going to admit. I'm not sure, like, what happens after bodies char. Like, I would imagine they go to dust. And then we see a xenomorph show up. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And again, I feel like I'm talking about a cartoon that happened. It's like, and then Tom showed up and Jerry got scared. because like it just things shouldn't be where they are in this, and it doesn't make any sense knowing too much. You really have to kind of get in with the characters and be like, oh, I don't know what's happening. So inside, we finally get some more screen time with Rosie. I thought she was adorable. I wanted to see a little bit more. I was happy to see her, and of course it's the obligatory hot girl like cleaning her face type thing. And then we get this movie's version of looking in the mirror and seeing something behind you. She turns and it's a upright alien for whatever reason, which I thought was an odd type of addition to it, like to see like a neomorph that's just standing upright and going, and then like it bites her neck. The neomorphs versus the classic xenomorphs definitely seem more playful with their food. I don't know what that deal is, but it just starts chomping on her. Well, throws her head in the water and starts chomping on her. Them's the breaks, I guess. And then the new android, the old android. Why does this say new? Fuck. My notes suck. The old android acts really odd with the xenomorph. It's like, because the xenomorph like doesn't see it as competition. It just sees it as an object that moves, but it looks kind of human, like food shaped. So like they've got to have like a weird relationship there. And so sure enough, like the captain shows up and shoots it, and then the android gets really upset. Now, I don't know if you heard that right, but the android who got decommissioned as a series for being too human got upset. The captain aims the gun at him, demands to hear some stuff, and the android agrees to comply and walks away calmly. Never a good sign. If anyone human does that to you, not a good sign. If an android does it to you, you're probably dead in the next 10 seconds. Or it has decided to kill you, because that is crazy emotional swing. So, let's see. The ship, oh yeah, so this is fun. Like, Danny McBride and the people on the ship are very upset because they can't hear their loved ones. Or I think the last thing they heard is like, we have casualties. So they're bringing the ship lower and lower and lower into the atmo, but it's a spaceship. Real spaceships, like real cruisers and stuff, are built in space. They're not designed to come in atmo. They don't hold up because they're not aerodynamically sound. They don't always have like proper vertical thrusters to maintain position. They could hit rear thrusters, but unless they're a rocket and they're gonna sit down on their butt or on their backside, which would put everyone in the ship who's used to walking right side up, walking up and down like crazy people. It just doesn't work. If a spaceship is going to come in atmo for real, like it's probably going to go into the ocean. And you can see that in Star Trek. Is it Beyond? It's one of the newer ones. They actually like take it under the ocean to hide it, which I thought was really clever. And the Enterprise uses different types of technology to actually like maintain that vertical thrust. Most franchises don't bother with that sort of thing on a spaceship. So we're going. Okay, so we're all the way to the cave. So this is kind of where the movie really loses its head, because the old android's crazy, and God, it's so creepy. For whatever reason, the android starts showing the captain all the xenobabbies, the little egg things, and of course they don't trigger until they get heat or something that close to them that indicates that they would have something to strike, because facehuggers, right? So not having seen the original ones, this could actually be a big moment, but at the same time, like having seen them, like you get that same dread and anticipation of looking and seeing these eggs and knowing that a face burster is going to pop out of those things. So it's really interesting to see that sort of thing happen, like right there, and know that you could watch that part with anybody and they'd probably all have the same reaction. followed by, "You stupid fuck." Because why would you? Why? Why would you do that to yourself? So, of course, the facehugger gets him, because if it didn't, David would hold him until the facehugger did. Because David, the crew eventually figures out to leave. Like, they can't find the captain. I think they find Rosie's body. The android's missing. There's just there's enough clues that says it's time to go. And so the ship manages to deploy a barge, a cargo platform, essentially. So they know that they've got incoming. They've got radio signal at this point because they've come so far in Atmo. I think Danny McBride rides it down because he's trying to. Oh yeah, that's right. Because they did manage to tell him over the radio that his wife died. But he's trying to get whoever he can left. Man. So in the cave, in the creepy basement cave, where Grandpa Android keeps all his toys, he watches little Cappy burst out an alien. Now, because it seems like it took so long compared to like everything else, like to my head that was a queen. That one was a queen. But this is the first traditional xenomorph that we see, and it may have just been a drone, but it's definitely the first one, and it ends up coming to surface along with some face huggers that end up like fighting the last couple soldiers. And let's see, oh yeah, so the one guy manages to fight off the face huggers, save the other guy who just gets some like acid damage on his face. And the moment where like we realize that the xenomorph's in play for real, like that's actually a pretty tense moment, like right then and there. But of course, like it doesn't last nearly long enough. So face guy just kind of takes off running. That guy gets killed. And the movie kind of is already off the rails at this point because the pacing is a lot worse than I'm actually telling you. Believe it or not, because I'm not doing the best. This did spark a person of color getting killed first conversation. Now, this is actually a good movie to point out the antithesis of that, because they said it when he got killed, because the guy who like fought off the two facehuggers and saved the other guy, like that was a black guy, right? And then, but like he was definitely not the first one to get killed. There's two white soldiers, if like you're gonna count things, that got killed first, and then it was the black female doctor, and then the pilot, and like I don't know, 2 or 3 guys, including the captain, before him. So I'm just saying that's what it was. So it's not a movie for it, but like it's a trope that I'm glad to see kind of go away, because not only does it lend to the predictability of a movie, well, racist. If you're like, well, who's the first to die? Which one's darkest? That's not how you write a movie. That's how you're like, who do I hate today? So that's not what you do. Okay, so that xenomorph, that traditional xenomorph, finally shows up. And the old android ends up saving a lady crew member. I can't remember which one. I can't remember, but it was very reminiscent of Prometheus. If you saw Prometheus, there was a very particular scene where David saved Shaw. They were she was after the Promethean head that was being lost in the sandstorm, and she stupidly got out there and blown into like almost into the engines, trying to get that stupid head. And then David ends up tethering himself and walking out there and saving her. And you realize as the movie goes on, David's sole intention for saving Shaw was so that he could poison her husband, so that he would bang her and then be infected with an alien baby, so that he could have the alien baby. Like, because he's just, again, he's a sociopathic, crazy android thing. So in this, there's a very similar moment where he stops and pauses while he's saving her, and you could almost feel like he's remembering saving Shaw the same way, and this lady has no idea. And then the androids end up engaging each other, so it becomes like this weird kung fu battle. And I think at this point, oh yeah, the new android thought he had, I'm sorry, the old android thought he had killed the new android. My notes are all backwards for that. If they were distinguishable, like, because again, they're the same actor, they're the same face. I think one's David, one's Walter or some shit. It was not enough for me to remember the difference. It was like new guy, old guy. Got it. But so like he comes back even though he should be dead. And there's like a kung fu fight between the androids, which was really entertaining, if I'm being honest. And the humans bug out. They get out of there. They take the opportunity. And sure enough, one of that traditional xenomorph chases them. So they all manage to get on the cargo barge. One of the androids runs out. It looks like the old android. Manages to get on the barge as well. The xenomorph attaches itself to the underside, and so the lady crew member goes out there engaged because she's a badass. There's also the widower of the captain too, so like she's gone through a lot of grief today. So she's got some tension to get out, right? So she ends up going out there, and it's a very weird crane scene, or I'm sorry, fight scene, because they're like crawling all over the ship. It's hard to keep track. There's a lot of weird camera motions, and then on top of that they loose the crane, which unbalances them, so there's even more motion going on. There's tipping and whatnot, but she uses the crane to capture the idiot xenomorph because it can't figure out that this is a mouth. It knows what jaws are. Like, I'm just saying, like, it knows to avoid this because that's what it uses. But sure enough, they get it in the crane, and it's actually secured for a bit. I don't know why she leaves it that way, but like there's a point where she ends up getting slammed up against the crane, and it's grabbing at her, and it's trying to bite her, and then she smushes it. It's the funniest thing. It doesn't look like there's enough room because the teeth like do this, and it looks like there's a little hidey hole for aliens in there, right? It's not like this. It's like this. But sure enough, it goes like this, and he pops like a zit, and everything's burning, and it's freaking hilarious. It's actually a really satisfying human kill on Xenomorph that I don't think we really got in the first 3 movies. So where are we at? Oh yeah, so on the barge, it turns out the guy who got face injured was infected. So when they get back to the ship, he ends up loosing that monster onto the ship, and of course everybody who wasn't on the planet doesn't understand how much trouble they actually were on planet side, because they're like, oh, they told us a neat story. So even with an alert going off that says there's an unidentified entity or creature or whatever the hell it is loose on the ship, people are like, no, we're just gonna fuck in the shower, it's fine, it's fine. Oh, shower thanks. And I'm not gonna say like it wasn't a nice moment, but like it kind of gets ruined when you get an intruder that tries to do a threesome by killing your guy. You know, it loses its appeal, let's say. So sure enough, those two die in the shower. Danny McBride and the widow are running around with guns trying to hunt it. And I think one more person's still alive. Out of the crew, mind you. All the colonists are asleep. Maybe it's David, that's right. Or Wilson, whatever his name is, in the bridge trying to help them. And they actually do the same thing that they did in Alien 3 in the prison, but there they didn't have weapons. So they actually like kite it through doors, and as it goes through the door, they close the door behind it. So they keep chasing, it keeps chasing the humans, and then David's just shutting doors and opening them as needed. So they get them all the way to the hangar bay, which I'm really disappointed in the layout of these ships. There should have been an airlock door that they could have taken it to without having to go through the hangar bay, and then they would have just been able to get out the door or spacewalk it, mag boot to the sides, and then just vent the whole shaft. Because what you can do is all the doors are airlocks. All these power doors are airlocks. So you just close off all the ones you don't need. You open up the whole hallway that it's in, and then the air pressure will take it out, because eventually there will be no more oxygen in that hallway, or there'll be no more nothing in that hallway, and the vacuum will pull everything out of there. It's science, it's truth. Again, I'm not a space engineer, but I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Just enough to be dangerous, right? So it was really cool to see that same kind of plot come back, but with weapons this time. Let's see. Anything amazing? Anything amazing? Okay, so the problem I had with this scene a lot was that they decided to loose a truck. I think she tries to trap it in the truck, which she's not fast enough to crawl and run away from this thing. But she does it anyways, and she puts it in the truck, and then of course it headbutts its way through, because why not? So they loose the platform that the truck is tied to, because I guess that's how they put it on there. But it gets stuck with some trash or something blocking the way. I don't know. So they loose the second truck to push the first truck over the trash or whatever. Like, this is not a good plot. It's not a good written plot. What I'm saying right here happening in the hangar bay anyways. And it's not a good plot for them as people. It's like, we're trying to survive against this alien thing. What do we do? And it's just a little ridiculous from here to there to see this and go, you really? This is what you thought was going to work? And not only does it work, which pissed me off. I'm upset they lived. But on top of that, they lose both the trucks. Like, so that's like not only is that a lot of money, but a lot of survival gear, and I don't know if they're able to go reclaim it. It'd be one thing if they were like, they could do like a salvage mission before they left, but they're down to 2 people and an android, who doesn't really count, because not only does he have 1 hand, but he's a douchebag. So, like, they don't even really have the people to do a proper salvage mission, or run the ship at all. Like, I understand that Mother, the autopilot thing, runs the ship somewhat accordingly, but, dude, if you need to set the android there, it obviously needs more attention than you think. But the second or the first truck ends up skewering the alien. It ends up in space. Happy ending for all. Yay! The problem is, now granted there's only like 2 of them. The android ends up putting them to bed, to sleep in their cryostasis chambers, so that they can have nightmares of xenomorphs for the next 200 years or whatever it is. But sure enough, she gets just the right angle on Wilson or Walter or Fabio, whatever his name is, and she's got to notice the cut under his chin from where the other android stabbed him, because sure enough, this is old android. So there is so perfectly another movie set up for this, because not only is the android just crazy evil and he could just send the barge back down to the planet, but he's got 2,000 colonists, 2 crew members. Oh, and guess what? He pukes up some facehugger eggs that he made, which it looks like he took the couple of the live facehuggers and swallowed them and then compressed them into like an Easter egg, like a literal Easter egg. And that's what he throws up and puts in the drawer for later. So I don't know if he's planning to go to the next planet to continue the experimentation, if he's just going to do it on the ship, or if he's going to take everyone back down to the planet, because he's got options, you know? It's definitely cool. I like that they left it open for more movies between Alien Covenant and Alien. It did not make sense to close the loop at this point. I'm really glad they didn't. Especially with all the flack after, like, Prometheus isn't an alien movie, but it is. So, like, now we all need is, like, Bill and Ted versus aliens. I'm just saying, like, it's a movie we could do. No, we really don't need that. Like, I'm not even psyched about like having the Predators come back after him. I don't know. I almost want to see like Alien POV or something like that. I want to see it from like the aliens' point of view. Like, just do all first-person camera shots from like the Queen Xenomorph as a baby. Like, have it like the first shot being it bursting out of a chest, and then there's David, and then like it runs down the hallway and there's David coaxing it out or whatever. And then I don't know, like just it builds its little empire. And starts taking over a planet of humans. Like, that could be a thing. But also, like, I don't know. Because, like, the first Alien, they found... What was it? Yeah, they accidentally found part of a clutch or whatever, and one facehugger got one guy, and then it got on the ship because they didn't know what they were doing. And it just caused all kinds of havoc. So that's what we're leading to. So I don't know if there's a story arc plot that's going to like really bridge those two things well. We'll see. We'll see. Because this, I mean, this is... When was this movie? Oh my god. Probably too long ago. But that's okay. Friday nights, Rabbit vs. Camerai. Or sorry, Rabbit/Camerai. It's rabb.it/Camerai. 2017, so yeah, there's still room for a new Alien movie to come out. Come watch scary movies with us on Friday night. Next week is going to be The Descent. We're going to do The Descent 2, and Descent 3 is scheduled, but it's not going to be out till next year. That is another one I may go to the theaters for. There's not a lot of them. Oh, it's not on IMDb yet. Aw, I saw pictures. I know they're working on it. Don't toy with me, IMDb. I'm not stable. No, it's fine. So, and then we'll probably go to Idle Hands. But, like I said, we're pretty much open after that. We no longer have the franchise to depend on. We're going to start selecting things. We might do Get Out. It's coming. There's so much time left in the year still. But we'll keep doing this. Just come join us, talk about movies with us. Reviews are going up on the Tumblr still for the foreseeable future, but we also have letterboxd.com. And I was thinking about putting some up on Netflix, but I gotta get current on Letterboxd, so the reviews might be held up by that process. And then I'll review a bunch of them and put them up, but it'll get up there. Along with Bad Summaries is also probably going to be delayed. I'm not skipping them, but there might be some delays. So, until we see you next time from here at hashtag WeAreMovieClub, have a nice day. This has been Scary Movie Squad. If I say anything else that we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.